We're going to go over classifying parallelograms. You need to kind of understand some definitions. Basically, a rectangle has 4 right angles. A rhombus has all 4 sides are congruent. Doesn't have to have 4 right angles, just has to have 4 sides congruent. Now, a square is a type of rhombus and it's a type of rectangle. It has 4 right angles and all the sides are congruent. I really like this Venn diagram to show what's what. If it is inside a bigger circle, then it's part of that. So quadrilaterals include all 4-sided figures. All parallelograms are quadrilaterals, all rectangles, squares, and rhombi are also quadrilaterals. If we're looking at parallelograms, then all rectangles, squares, and rhombi are also parallelograms. So if you look at the square, it falls in every single circle. So a square is a rectangle and a rhombi and a parallelogram and a quadrilateral. Now, if you look at the rhombuses circle, there are some rhombuses that are not squares because inside of this part of the circle, you see squares. And then outside of it are all the other rhombuses that are not squares. So this is just the example that they gave. Every square is a parallelogram. That's true. If you look here, the squares are also parallelograms. Every rhombus is a parallelogram. That's true, because this green circle is totally inside the blue circle. Well, these aren't circles. These are ellipses. Every rectangle with 4 congruent sides is a square. That's true. Rectangles are one thing, but if they have 4 congruent sides, then they are squares. So that's true. Every quadrilateral is a square. That's false. Everything within this black circle is a quadrilateral. And there's some things here that are not squares. So that one would be false. Okay, we're going to go through the definition. I would recommend maybe writing down some of those, not definition, we're going over some practice problems, but I would recommend that you write down some of these definitions so that you can look at it, or maybe do a screenshot of that, of the Venn diagram on the page before. So every quadrilateral is a rectangle. That's false, because sometimes you can have a 4-sided figure that's not a rectangle. Every parallelogram is a rhombus. That's false, because parallelograms can be rectangles, or they can be just parallelograms that aren't rectangles, or they don't have 4 sides that are congruent. They can still be a parallelogram. Every rhombus has 4 right angles. Every rhombus with 4 right angles is a square. Yes, that is true, because squares are rhombuses with 4 right angles. Every square is a quadrilateral. That's true, because all squares are 4-sided, and definition of quadrilateral is 4-sided. So yes, that's true. So this is just kind of testing your ability to know the definitions of parallelograms. Every square is a rectangle. That's true, because by definition, rectangles have 4 right angles and a square has 4 right angles. So yes, every square is a rectangle. Every rhombus is a square. Now that's false, because there are some rhombuses that are not squares. Every quadrilateral is a rhombus. That's completely false, because you can have quadrilaterals that aren't even parallelograms. Every rectangle with 4 congruent sides is a square. Yes, that's true, because rectangles have 4 right angles, and if all the sides are also congruent, then yes, it's a square. And that is the end of the lesson.